Do you want your thumbnail to go from this to this? Yo, what is good? It's AJ Bants here. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, now is a great time to subscribe. I upload daily content just like this. Okay, so in today's video we're going to be going over how to create eye-catching gaming thumbnails for your YouTube channel. If you are interested, then stick around. Hopefully you guys find this video helpful. So let's just jump right into it. So the first thing I like to do is go through the video which I'm making the thumbnail for, and I'll just take a screenshot of what I think will look good as a thumbnail. Okay, so I've already found a point in which I think will look good as a thumbnail. This is for my next video, the MP7 video, which will be out tomorrow. So make sure you've got your bell notifications turned on so you don't miss it. Alright, so this is the thumbnail we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a screenshot of this. Okay, so that is the easy part out of the way. We're going to now move over to Photoshop and start editing. So I'm going to open up the screenshot I've just taken, which is this one. Now here is where the magic happens. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do is copy the background layer. So if you're on a Windows PC, it's Control J. For Apple, it would be Command J. Okay, so now we've got the extra layer. So this is the one we're going to be working on mainly. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to remove little things that I don't want in the thumbnail. Come on over to your spot healing brush, and I'm just going to work my way around removing these stuff out. Okay, and we're just going to continue doing this. You just click over everything you want removed. So as you can see, if I was to click this little eye icon, I can then see what it looked like before and after, which is why I like to create a layer on top so that I can see what it looks like before and after. I'm going to speed this part up because it's a little bit repetitive. I'm basically just clicking around and removing stuff that I don't want to be in the video. Okay, so I've now removed everything I do not want in the picture. As you can see, the before and after. It's a little bit messy around here, but that's not going to matter in a second, and I'll show you exactly why. Okay, so moving on to the next thing we're going to do. What I want to do is I want to trace around this gun. Now the reason why I want to do this is because I'm going to blur the background slightly and have the gun the main focus, because the main focus of this video is the MP7. So if you go over to the quick selection tool, all you want to do is left click on the mouse and just pull it through to highlight the gun. It is probably going to go off the gun as well, but I'll show you guys how to fix that up. And you just want to do this around the whole gun. Try to make sure you've got it all highlighted. And I'm also going to do it around the arm and the bottom part of the gun. Alright, so as you can see here, it's kind of gone off a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to hold Alt, and you'll see it turns into a minus sign, and then you just bring it right back in. You might have to do it a few times to get it right. Again, it doesn't have to be so perfect. Just try to get it as close as possible. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Right, so then what you do next is you'll do Control J if you're on Windows or Command J if you're on Apple. And that will copy your gun into a separate layer. So now you have that. Okay, so now we have the gun cut out and we have the background just as we want it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add some effects in. This is what's going to set your thumbnail apart from the competition. So for this one, we're going to add the lightning. What I'm going to do with the lightning is basically put it around the gun. So if you click Control T on this layer, it's basically a shortcut for transforming, which is so you can make it bigger, smaller. A little pro tip, after hitting Control C, if you want to make your picture bigger without messing up all the scales, what you can do is hold Shift, Alt, and then you can make it bigger and smaller without stretching out this way as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this. We're going to place it roughly where we want it. Okay, so I want it to be around here. But I want some of the points in the lightning to come down a little bit. So I want this one to curve around here a little bit more. And it's really easy to do this in Photoshop. What you do is right click and then warp. So you put on these points to just basically place it where you want it. And the reason why I want the lightning to be up and down is because we're going to give it kind of a 3D effect. And I'll show you guys how to do that in just a second. So first thing we're going to do with this is we're going to go over to the eraser tool, select a soft brush, increase the size of it, and as you can see there's hard edges here and here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of those hard edges so that it looks like it flows a bit better. Now what I want to do is I'm going to give this the 3D effect I was talking about. So again, we want to select the eraser tool. However, this time we're going to change the brush to a hard one. Now what I like to do when I'm doing this is bring the opacity on the layer down just enough so you can kind of see through it. Okay, so now I can see what I want to be erasing from this. I want to be taking this line away. As it goes up and in, I'm going to be removing this so that it shoots out from here. Alright, so let's do this. This is going to take some trial and error. If you need to go back, all you got to do is click Control Z to go back one step. If you want to go back more than one step, click Control Alt Z, and then you can click on it to go back as many times as you want. I want to bring it all the way back up, and now what I'm going to do is just take out some of the glow around here. Okay, so if I bring the opacity back up, you can see what I was talking about. Now it seems as if the lightning has gone up, down behind the gun, and then shot out from here and shot out from there, and then this part is connecting back around. Okay, so I actually really like the way this is looking now. What we're now going to do is, I don't think I like the color of the lightning, so I want to change it to something that'll be a bit more eye-catching. Now, a really interesting thing that I found out recently is the first thing the human eye notices when looking at something is the color yellow, which is why you see this in a lot of the big clickbaity thumbnails. It's always bright yellow and orange colors. So those are the colors we're going to go for on the lightning and also on the text. So if you come down here to this little circle, this is actually a bunch of adjustments you can do to your image. What we are going to do is change the hue and saturation of this. So if you click on it and then click Alt, and then come down to the line in between and left click. What that does is it attaches this effect to the lightning rather than affecting everything else. So anything we change on this now will only affect the lightning. Okay, so we're going to want to bring this to around here. I like the way this color looks, and we're just going to bring the saturation up a little bit, probably around 9, and we'll leave the lightness where it is. So that is the lightning part of the gun done. What we are now going to do is blur out the background. So if you click on the layer 1, the one you copied from the background, go over to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. Now you can select whichever blur works best for you. I always use 2.4 for my thumbnails. I think it just gives it a nice subtle blur, and it draws attention to the subject of the video. Okay, moving over to the text. Now, for the text, you want to normally write something different to what the title is of the video. The reason being is because the thumbnail is the first thing someone looks at when they click on a video. We're always told don't judge a book by its cover, but in YouTube, that is completely untrue. People are going to judge your video based on the thumbnail. So whatever you're writing in your thumbnail, you want it to be captivating. You maybe want to ask a question that will intrigue people. So that's what we're going to do now. So the title of the video is probably going to be something like the Unstoppable MP5. However, for the thumbnail, you might want to write something like this. You see, you're asking a question which might pique people's interest. Now we're going to get how you want to format your text. So we're going to firstly make it a lot bigger than it was just now. Now I like to write on separate lines just to fill out blank space rather than writing straight across the thumbnail. Okay, so now we've got everything right out, we're going to just place it where we need it to be. Now we've got it all lined up and where we want it to be, we're going to add the effects to the text. And the text effects are a big thing on thumbnails. You want your text to really stand out and be eye-catching. If I looked at this thumbnail, while yes, the background looks nice, the gun looks nice with the lightning going through it, the text looks like you've put no effort into it, you just typed it out and placed it in the corner. You want to put effort into your thumbnails, you want to show people that you actually do put in the work and put in the time to make a good thumbnail. As I said, people do judge a book by its cover on YouTube, and they're going to judge your content by its cover. If your thumbnail looks lazy, they're going to think your content's lazy, and they're probably not going to click on it. So what you want to do is go over to the first line of text, you double click it, and then go over to gradient overlay. I've got presets for the ones I use for YouTube. It's red, which fades to orange, and then yellow. Other than the gradient overlay, we also use inner glow. This is how I've got my own set up if you want to copy it. And it gives it basically this dark line in the text and makes it stand out a lot more. You can also use outer glow if you like. It's completely up to you. I'm not really a big fan of it on this kind of text. But again, it's up to personal preference. And now we're just going to go ahead and just tick those same settings on the rest of our text. Now this is just something I personally like to do. You really do not need to do this, it's just again personal preference. I like to make the last word different to the rest of them because normally my last word is the main subject matter, which is SMG or the name of the gun MP7. Whichever was the last word is normally the subject matter. For this again I do put gradient overlay, however I use this preset instead, and then I do use outer glow for this kind of text. I use this one, which is the black fade into the white, make it black a bit more dominant, bring the size down a little bit to around here, and perfect. Okay, so now we've got all the text set up. You can see the thumbnail is really coming together. We've got a really nice light leak here, however it's a bit bland around here. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to create a blank layer. So click on this here and it creates just a blank layer, so there's nothing on this. This is for you to do whatever you want on it. So what you do on here, for example, if I draw anything, it's only doing it on this, it's not actually doing it on the background. So if you delete this layer, it disappears. Okay, what we do want to do is we actually do want to be drawing and we want to be using the color white. Okay, I'm going to make my brush bigger, and what I'm going to do is just click once and it gives you a nice little white glow. Bring the opacity down a tiny bit, and that is that part down. So now you can see it's no longer just bland there. You've got a nice little white glow. Again, you want your thumbnails to be bright, vibrant. You want them to really pop because these are the things that are going to catch people's eyes. Okay, the next little effect I like to use, you've probably seen this used quite a lot, is these anime lines. Now, although you've seen it used quite a lot, it is actually really effective. It gives your picture some depth of field. I like to bring my ones out a little bit to around there. Of course, you need to get rid of this black background. So all you need to do is make sure you've got this layer selected. Click right here and change it to screen. And I'm also going to bring the opacity of this down to around here. Final thing we're going to do to this picture, create another new blank layer. Get your paintbrush out, make it smaller. I'm just going to add in some particles. So when you're doing this, you want the particles to vary in size. So you want to go around, make it bigger and smaller. But we don't just leave them as they are. We're going to double click on this layer. It'll bring this out. You want to click on outer glow. Change the outer glow to whatever color you want. For this thumbnail, I'm going to change it to orange. We're going to bring the spread in a little bit. We're going to bring the size out a tiny bit. Okay, and that is it. And then bring the opacity on them down so you can just kind of see them. And there you go. Makes your thumbnail look a little bit more dynamic. Now there is one more thing I want to do here which I forgot to do, is I want to bring up the exposure of the background. We want it just to be a little bit more brighter. So we're going to come back down, click on this layer, click the circle, go over to exposure, again hold Alt in between the lines and then left click or attach it to this. Okay, we're just going to bring it up to there, 0.31. It's just literally the tiniest bit, but that tiny bit really does make the difference. And then what you want to do is zoom out. This is around the size people are going to see your thumbnail. So you want to see, does your text stand out? Is it eye-catching? Would you click on this thumbnail? If your answer is no, then maybe you want to make some changes, make it a bit brighter, throw your own effects in there, maybe make your text a bit bigger. So immediately off the bat, I think I want my text to be slightly bigger than this. Okay, so now I've got my text a bit bigger. I've positioned it where I want it to be. I'm just going to zoom out again, and I think that looks so much better. See, just little changes like that can really make the difference between whether someone clicks on your video or not. And there you have it. This is what we started out with, and there's what we ended with. In my opinion, this looks amazing. It's super easy to do. You can literally do it in 5-10 minutes, and it is going to make the difference whether someone clicks on your video or they don't. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you found this helpful. If you do need any assistance at all with this, just leave a comment below and I'll make sure to reply to you. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.